Like the housing office started recording.
Oh, when we press that button?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Tracy, when we activate that, we start recording?
I think so, but I've also hit it from here.
Okay.
Good
Are you
afternoon.
well trained? I'm impressed.
Hold on.
It's a
The-
long answer.
All right, the otter is already recording. Lee needs to hit record to the cloud.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. And to Rick's question, before I start the meeting, I always talk about the learning curve. Students would come to me and say, I knew everything, and I got into the exam, and it was as if it was Chinese or gibberish or something. I didn't know what to do. And I said, yes, you were up on the learning curve, but you hadn't gone all the way, so that you weren't working under stress. I'm still on the learning curve.
There's nothing like experience.
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Lee Saperstein, and this is the Roads and Right of Way Committee meeting of Tuesday, August 19th. What I would like to do is both roll call and introductions. So we're going to do the roll call first.
So guys, I don't think that you're recording to the cloud.
We're not recording yet.
So Tracy, when you joined, the Zoom says it started recording, and our interface says the only options here are pause or stop recording. So as far as we know, we are recording.
Okay, just making sure, because on my end, it just shows the auto recording.
Thank you.
It doesn't let us do a second recording here. It just says recording. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Am I in the way?
No. Okay. Now, once again, Roads and Right of Way, Tuesday, August the 19th. Time is 4:01 PM and we're underway. Because we do have guests on Zoom. I'm not in any way want to read that long script, but the script says, if you are a guest, you speak to the MC or chair, that's I, and I recognize you and you're more than welcome to roll forward. Do remember that anything that is said here is recorded and available to the public. I'm suggesting that we don't disparage anybody, no matter how strongly we feel. Okay, so. What I did, is I printed out our attendance list or our membership list. When I call your name, please respond with here or I. Alan Reinhardt. Here. Lee Saperstein as chair is here. Rick Atherton. Here. Gordon.
Occoloni here.
I was gonna say, Occoloni.
I get afraid every time he says it,
I even recognize whence it comes. We'll get there. Nathaniel Lowell,
I am here, sorry.
Bill Smith. Here. Nelson Snooky Eldridge.
yeah,
Ed Gillum
I here.
and Rob Rennie. Not here. That's the only one not here.
So is Gordon a new member of our committee?
Yes, we'll get there in just a minute. And our staff online is Tracy. Could you respond, Tracy?
yep, Tracy McDonald here.
And at the table, Mike Burns?
Here.
Thank you. Now,
You're hiding.
for introductions, Gordon is brand new to the committee. I've seen your application, but they haven't. Could you, in 2 or 3 sentences, tell you who you are?
I go by Gordy, but given name is Gordon Occoloni. I've been on an island for about 3 years. My girlfriend's been coming down here since '78, so she knows the whole island. I'm passionate about getting into Nantucket community and Nantucket committees.
Yeah.
I love the help. I've been working supermarket business for 41 years. That's my background. So I've dealt with new stores, stores that have been declining to bring up sales. What else would you like to know besides that?
That's a good start.
Okay.
My colleague Ellen Reinhardt.
Yes. No, what's the question? I'm sorry.
Your background in the town, just very quickly for Gordon.
Oh,
It's a lot, so.
I've been on a number of different town committees, boards and commissions. Currently I serve on the Land Bank Commission. I chair the Water Commission, I chair the Cemetery Commission. And Roads and Roadway Committee.
And land bank.
And the, yes, thank you.
Rick,
I served on the town's finance committee and then was an elected member of the town select board for 9 years.
Snooki,
Served the fire department for 56 years. Been on the water commission since it was established in April of '88. And on the roads and radio.
and Gordy, not everybody in this room has a road named for him. Bob, I didn't get.
That's
your-
right. I'm Bob Bystrowski. I work with Tracy in the real estate office.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Ed,
Ed Gillum, I've been in the real estate business out here for about 35 years. So I got a little bit of background in some of the behind the scenes with some of the properties and transactions. I've been on a number of nonprofit boards. I've been treasurer of Friends of the Athenaeum. I've been treasurer of another nonprofit as well. That's kind of my generalized background.
thank you, Ed. Bill?
I'm the vice chair of the Harbor Plan Update Committee, which we will be discussing today, and more importantly, I'm the chair of the Opera House Cup Committee.
There we go.
Did you drive your boat?
I did, longer than anybody else did. 5.5 hours, 28 miles.
Can you say your name again, please? I'm sorry.
Bill Smith.
Bill. Thank you.
And Matt?
Hey, Nat Lowell, sixth generation native, planning board member since '07. Planning commission member since roughly 2004. This committee, I've been on the longest of everything I've ever done since '03. And steamship, for council, just came from a meeting on the Cape. Since '04.
Thank you, Matt. All right, we have two guests on the list. Before that, Gordy, I'm Lee Saperstein. Visited the island in the bicentennial year of '76, bought a house in '79, retired from teaching mining engineering at Penn State, Kentucky and Missouri in 2007. And Alan was leading walks in cold, chilly wintertime. And he and I hit it off. He said, "Lee, could you help?" And that was my first participation here. So if you will bear with me. Lynn. No, Carol.
Yep, Lynn will be with us shortly. I'm Carol Greenberg. I'm president of the Sconset Civic Association.
And I'll call on you in just a moment in the forthcoming agenda item. I've got somebody named Stephen.
Yes,
And-
I expect to introduce myself, Stephen Teal, seasonal resident, just interested party.
Okay. Thank you. And
Never had so much excitement in a while here.
I'm writing this down, Stephen.
When we found out.
What's your surname?
Teal.
Stephen, you're muted. What's your surname?
Teal.
Teal, Teal.
Thank you. Okay, it's public. We're now up to item 2. Thank you all, folks. Public and commissioners' comments on items not on the agenda. The first thing is I'm going to point to Alan. Because we have had a gift from Neil Patterson Incorporated of 5 upright posts. I've written to them to say thank you. Neil doesn't necessarily acknowledge, but my email went to him. So I have done a formal thanks. Could I ask Ellen that for our next meeting, you give us a report on where they're to go? And then we can make a formal request to the DPW to put them in the ground.
Right.
You probably know where they're supposed to go.
Well, it's been a while.
About the
Yeah,
most important
but-
location.
So, but I'll work with Bob maybe and Tracy and see where they're at. Let me just add that we have 4 or 5 other left over from the 46 that we put in the ground several years ago. These are public
Yeah.
ways. One of them says public footpath. So anyway, we have additional monuments as well.
Let's get them all in the ground sometime this fall. Thank you, Alan. Ed,
You lead to Alan. Do we still have some of the flush ones and as well? Do we have any of
No.
those? Because they
No.
disappeared, but
They disappeared and nobody within the DPW or anyone else seems to know where they went,
Or
so.
in somebody's yard.
someone has a
I'll
nice
find-
walkway
Yeah.
somewhere.
so
Somewhere.
what Alan is referring to is unused flush ones that were supposed to be in
Right, well,
storage.
that's what I'm,
We have a bunch that are in the ground.
well, no, that's what I was
Oh, okay.
asking about, actually. the unused one.
Back to,
No, we looked, I looked all over for them and inquired with the various people that might know and nobody had any idea where they went.
Dorm rooms.
Probably in the ground somewhere, but let's hope so.
And now, Carol, you have asked to address the group. And
Yes,
I,
so,
I
and
think
I
it-
wanted Lynn on the call as well, but I think she might be, oh, she said they're not letting you in. You're not letting her in.
she's tried twice.
Yes.
There
All right,
she
she-
is.
She should be okay.
She's in and muted.
Okay, let me tell her she's in.
She have to unmute herself. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's
All
see.
right,
what's
folks,
happening.
the Sconset Civic Association, a very forward group. I've met them as part of my participation in the Nantucket Civic League. The Civic League is comprised of 23 area associations, one of which is Sconset. Carol and Lynn, it's up to you.
Yes, so Lynn is the previous president. I follow in very big shoes, which I hope I am filling. I wanted, yes, Lynn is there. Lynn, you're muted. Lynn?
I'm unmuted.
There you are. Okay, Lynn, do you want to start this conversation since you have the history?
Oh, well, we've been working with Roads and Right of Way for several years, and we changed the sign to deal with the amount of people who are coming at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, and we put rules there that were meant to make it tolerable for everyone, but no one reads the sign. And the amount of people that come are now some days 1,000 people during the day. And we're not talking about 1 or 2 people coming. We're talking about groups of 10 and 12 that include lots of people dropped off from various tour buses or tour vans. And as we all know, the best way to come to Sconset is by bus because there's very little parking. And so everyone who's read all the social media, including what comes out of the town, thinks that this is a major thing to come see. And they're not aware of any of the hours, any of the rules. They're not aware that there's no parking, that there's no bike, there's no stroller. So it's really an untenable position for the village to handle. And we've tried what we can, but this requires something much bigger.
So I would like to add, may I add to
Yes,
that?
of course.
People are taking their strollers and bikes on the path. And if not, they leave them at the Susan Whitney. I'm sure you've all spoken to her in the past. They leave them chained up at her house or just strewn there in her garden. People are coming and going. We have 6 entry points. They're just coming around any house that they can. They are not reading. They don't care. And it's just, I don't know if it's the world has become entitled, but it's mayhem. And it's not, you know, we are a living, breathing village. We live here. We all love it here. And I know the people bought houses on the path, but it's come to a point that it's just ridiculous. It's not right. It's just not right anymore. And I know I've walked the path with you guys and we've looked at the markers, but it's not working. It's not working. They don't care that there's signs that say do and do not. We're working with Chantal at the tourism, culture and tourism, to give her something better to hand out than they're handing out now to, you know, encourage following the rules. But, you know, we come to you begging to do something, and we need help out here.
Carol, what is it that you would hope that we would do?
Enforcement.
By who though? This is.
You know, Lynn has some ideas. Lynn, you want to share some of those ideas? Oh, Lynn muted again. Lynn, you're muted. I don't know,
There.
but
Here I am. Can you hear me?
yes, now we can.
The problem is you either need to have some kind of enforcement that includes policemen, community service officers, or something that's a lot more hands-off, like a gate at every entrance that is closed when it's not appropriate to be on. And frankly, I'm not even sure that the bluff path exists in many parts of the whole walk. And that's something that Roads and Right of Way looked at probably 15 years ago when they thought they don't even have a valid survey that shows where the path is.
You're absolutely right. The subcommittee on the Bluff Path turned in a report to the select board in 2010. That committee, Rick, you may recall, was chaired by the other Atherton. Deanne Atherton was chair. There were some stalwart members on it. Because of this, I'm asking the town to put the report back up on our website. What I'm going to suggest is that if you want us to discuss this more, it's not on our agenda, it's public comment, that we will put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
And when is that, Lee?
Well, it would be the third Tuesday in September.
Well, I also want to mention to you that Instagram has changed our lives. And Mr. Flagg could have never possibly in his wildest dreams thought of the internet. That's one thing, but Instagram, which started in 2010. So, you know, this is a different world and we have to look at this differently. He never thought that we'd have 1,000 visitors a day, 500 to 600 for sure. We had just one resident on Front Street count, Lynn, how many did Sherry count? 200 in 1 hour passed by her front door. I mean, we're like an amusement park out here.
I
And
think
we're dealing, go ahead.
If you
balance
could,
between the homeowner's rights to privacy and the right of the public to use the path are no longer in the right proportion.
if you can bring updates to our next meeting, and by updates, what is Chantal doing for you? what is the town's enforcement agency, which presumably police, willing to do? We do know it's a public way. We do know that it doesn't migrate with erosion. But to have a deeper discussion, I'd like to have it on the agenda. Does that make sense to my colleagues on the committee?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not on the agenda, so we really
Right.
we can't spend a lot of time on this.
Yeah,
Okay, but we're just asking you to please, there's got to be something that has to be done. Because now we have Ellen Hildenbrand's film coming out here and she's gonna be they are using, I'm sorry, not she. The film crew is gonna be filming on Front Street, on the footbridge. You know, Front Street leads right to the bluff. I mean, it's just more publicity. It is only going to get worse. And I hear what you're saying, Lee, but we can't say no anymore. You know, that this is a public way. We have to rethink this and get creative.
and we're looking for your ideas, along with all the backup that you can give us in September.
Okay, September what, Lee?
I would have to look, it's
If you
it's the
understand.
third Tuesday.
It's on the bottom of the agenda, I'll tell you.
I'm sorry, September what?
Oh, what can I do? Oh, it's not. I don't see.
No, I don't think I put it down on the agenda, I'm sorry.
It's the third Tuesday in September. It'll be the second night. 16.
Okay,
We can start.
I'm not available, Lynn. I'll be out of the country. Will you be available?
I'll be here. And I guess we should have noted that I've already sent a letter in my role from the Sconset Trust to Libby Gibson, who shared it with all the select board. And the select board, I've talked to 3 out of the 5 of them, are all well aware that whatever we've done doesn't work anymore. And that, you know, Carol and I can come up with 50 ideas, but it ultimately rests on the town. It is their responsibility, and they need to spend much more time analyzing this. And we have done everything we can from our limited time.
folks, you put your fingers on it. Our committee is advisory. And we will share with the town things that we learned from you. But eventually it's gotta be the select board and town managers. The town manager and her department heads.
But Lee, you know everything. We've been through this already. I mean, can't we just move forward that this is an issue that the town has to deal with?
And that's between you and the select board.
What does exactly that mean? No, tell me, because I've never been down this path before.
If I can add, we as the Roads and Right of Way Committee don't have any power, decision-making powers and so on. We report to the select board, and it is the select board that has the power to do anything. I'm not, you know, again, I've been thinking about this for a long time. Because it was really, you know, this was not our intention. We had no idea that when, you know, by bringing attention to this, that all of a sudden it would become the problem that it's become for the neighbors.
Not to belabor this, it's just not on the agenda, but I don't think we brought the attention to it. I mean, it's the nature of the TikTok world, Instagram, look at Main Street, Nantucket, everything.
If I may, as you speak, would you say, hi, I'm Ed Gillum?
Hi, I'm Ed Gillum.
And the reason for that is the AI minutes will be picking up who's speaking, and I've seen a copy, I mentioned this to Alan, I've seen a copy of what they produced for the Cemetery Commission, and it's fairly thorough. Needs to be edited, but it's fairly
understand.
thorough. Anything more, Ed?
I was just saying that, I mean, a lot of this problem, it comes down to enforcement, which is not within our power to enforce. And also, it's the nature of a lot of things on Nantucket and in not just Nantucket, anywhere it just become a successful tourist place. I mean, it's out there. I mean, it's the more people see us on a movie or this or that. Next year's the 250th of our nation. Believe me, Nantucket will be in the spotlight big time next year. So
Okay.
I don't know what to
I
do.
think it's the discovering of it. It's
Yeah.
not so much the there's more people.
With the TikTok stuff.
This is, like she said about Instagram,
Yeah,
the guy that did it
Social
too was a
media.
ghost guy. That's when this all started. That was a while ago, you know,
social media, yeah.
so anyway.
So what stops you now from throwing it back, forgive my words, to the select board? I mean, if all our hands are tied and the town is the authority to do something, why can't we just go right to the town and say, we have to do something?
Carol, we would need some kind of proposal of what we're asking the select board to do.
Yeah, the town, by the way, is very up to date with the issues that you've raised.
I think Carol knows that because she's been speaking with Libby Gibson.
Yeah.
Rick?
Yeah, my name is Rick Atherton. I think we are not without power, if you want to use that term, Alan. I think we have a responsibility as a committee to come up with ideas and make recommendations.
Yeah.
You know, openly and constructively. And if we're gonna be silent and just say, oh, it's the select board's problem, we're not gonna make a lot of progress. So I think we need to think about what options there are and bring them forward with the force of our committee's recommendation.
It's gotta be on the agenda.
It'll be on the agenda for September,
22.
and I am pleading with Carol
This
and
isn't the
Lynn,
first time.
to give us suggestions, ideas, recommendations that may help to ameliorate the problem.
I'm afraid we're past little suggestions that really work. But yeah, we will be happy to give you more statistics that you have something to rely on. But I mean, we're just going in circles because Libby just threw it back to you guys, but we've worked through you and it's very hard to see what would be very different because really ultimately I could suggest let's close the path because of the erosion issues that are on it. And let's open it selectively. And I don't know how you're going to respond to something that's as radical as that.
Not well.
Thank you. We hear you. It'll go in the minutes, but more specifically, if you'd bring that as a potential solution in September, we can then talk about it. And with that, folks, I don't have anything more for comments, but I'll turn to you. Are there commissioner comments? Stephen, you're online. Do you have any comment?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. Then we're going to move very rapidly to approval of the minutes, which we don't have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
But
Thank
not
you.
thank you. Goodbye.
I know it's frustrating, but
Nice to meet some of you. Bye-bye.
The minutes
our guards.
for our last meeting, the July meeting,
Just gonna
were
update you.
to have been
Tracy.
produced. Tracy's working on them. Tracy, give us a quick report.
Just a quick update, you know, so I just wanted to tell you that when we use the Otter AI, I have to go, if you don't identify you and it doesn't pick you up as the speaker, I'm able to listen, click on the speaker and it'll talk. And so then I can identify the speaker, but I have to go through and do that. So I had to do that for both June and July. They're otherwise relatively accurate. And my intern is going to try to pull them together this week now. And then I'll just circulate them immediately for review. And that will be the June and July. And then we have no staff when the interns leave. So I don't know what will happen with this meeting, but it's recording. So we'll have the transcript. And even if I circulate the transcript, Lee, I think somebody could make something out of that. It's really accurate.
Thank you, Tracy. And protocol says that as soon as we have it, we share it with you. If you have suggestions, minor edits and typographical errors, we can fix them. If it requires something of substance, then we have to recirculate. The approval of the minutes will actually happen live at the next meeting. Thank you. Phil. I'm introducing Phil Smith on the harbor plan. Gordy asked me, could he read it? And so I dug into the town and it is now online.
It is online.
And it's 130 or 40 pages.
It is 124 pages.
124 pages. I followed Rick Atherton's suggestion, and roads and right of way are mentioned 16 times. But Bill, I don't mean to steal anything from you. Tell us what's up. Rick may have something to offer.
Harbor Plan Update Committee, and some of you may have been on an earlier version of this committee in previous years. It is supposed to be done every 10 years. The most recent one was 2019. If you do the arithmetic, that means we should have done it in 2009. We should have done it in 2019. It's now 2025, COVID, et cetera, a lot of other things. So now we have a draft which we are getting ready to submit to the state and to the select board, who have to sign off on it. But this is essentially looking in detail at Nantucket Harbor and Mattocket Harbor. And so this committee was composed of several people. Just to give you a flavor for the representation on this, Dave Franzuto, Shab, somebody from Fishermen's Council, somebody from Nantucket Planning, Economic Development, Conservation Commission, Land Bank, Coastal Resiliency Advisory Committee, Nantucket Land and Water Council. I was at large, Seth Lineback was at large, and a representative from the head of the health department. So anyhow, this committee worked on this for over 2 years, meeting every other Monday throughout the entire year for 2 years. And we have, with the assistance of a group in Boston who has helped other harbors in the Commonwealth on this, so they knew the whole process. And what we did was we went through the 2009 plan and essentially either starred stuff that wasn't done that should have been done, stuff that was not done, we just said is not worth doing. And then once we had gone through that plan and decided what we wanted and what we didn't want, then we started adding what we thought should be added. And we had public meetings. We had several public meetings. We also sent out questionnaires. And then we, this last week, we published the draft, and we had a public meeting in at the police station, the public community room, and got some more comments from people. So we are now at the point where each of these objectives and recommendations, and I think there are 8 different categories, and I'll just give you the categories just so you have some idea what we're talking about. Water quality, natural resources, public access, commercial and recreational fishing, commercial waterfronts, boating and navigation, coastal resilience, and administration and coordination. And each of these areas, categories, has objectives and recommendations attached to the objectives. And with each recommendation, there is what is called a responsible party and a participating party. And as Lee points out, the roads and right of way was noted several times as a responsible party and or participating party. And so what we are now doing is we're asking for each of these so-called responsible parties or participating parties to comment on, did we get it right when we threw their name in as a responsible party or a participating party? Do they disagree? Or do they agree? Or do they think it should be reworded since they are a responsible party? So there's a bit of work that each of the committees that have been cited needs to come back on. And we have a homework assignment to do. And so I think, obviously, we're not going to do it at this meeting because nobody, I don't think, has seen it.
But essentially, this committee needs to look at the, what is it, the 13 or whatever you said,
I found 16.
16. This committee needs to look at those 16 items and decide what needs to be changed, added, corrected, deleted, or whatever.
Before I ask for both specific and general comments, Phil, let me say that what I saw was monumental. It's an extremely important document because to come to these conclusions, it is filled with information about our harbors, water quality, fishing amounts, number of moorings in the mooring field. It just goes on and on and on. Then there's a lot of good information there.
We made the attempt to make a recommendation where something would be done, not just happy talk, but what would be done?
Right.
And one of the things that's gonna come under administration and coordination, the last item, is there's gotta be a committee, another committee, there's gotta be a group. I'm afraid that some of the people on this committee, Harbor Plan Committee, are gonna be on this follow-on committee to actually wrestle each one of these things to the ground. And either decide on each recommendation, whether it can be done, it can't be done, or make the best efforts to try to get it done. So that we don't pass on 10 years from now, something that just, we never got around to.
Okay. Rick, you had a thought about how to identify this, and perhaps you could share that.
Well, all I did was sort of what you were talking about, and I went through and I found the number of times that our committee is mentioned in what sections, but I think my impression was there are access points discussed, and I think that's something we as a committee would be interested in. So I found it interesting, for example, there are a couple of photographs with, which in this case, outline the chapter 91 areas of impact in the two harbors, but I didn't see the same for Nantucket Harbor. This is for Mattocket Harbor. And I just one thought, Phil, is if there is such a map, you know what I'm referring to?
Well, what we did is the map was just to show the boundary of the area we were going to be considering. That was all it was for.
Well, this is a little more than that because it outlines in blue all the areas on the coastline that are impacted by chapter 91 requirements.
Chapter 91 is so in the early stages. I can't tell you how early stage chapter 91. We probably know more than the people in Boston know about chapter.
And just very quickly, for definition to help people out, particularly Gordy, who's new, and people who are listening in. Chapter 91 of the Massachusetts General Law says, I think it says waterways, and it goes from Boston Harbor to structures that might extend into the water. We're particularly concerned with, I think it's section 18 or 19, that requires a license for structures that extend into the water, and also requires licenses for structures on filled tidal lands. But chapter 91 is huge.
What we need to do with chapter 91 is we need to figure out, Jeff Carlson has a file. That's about as grand a term as you can put. He has a file on various licenses, some that have expired, some are perpetual. It's all over the lot. There needs to be a concerted effort to try to figure out what we have and where we are. So we are nowhere close to being able to, in any definitive way, have a handle on this. It's really, and we've gone to Boston, and their response was that they do not have a database. It's on index cards. It's not as complete as what we have.
Learn about the index cards up there.
So this is one of the things that has to be done, is for us to figure out what of all of the properties that are in these two harbors, where is there a chapter 91 license now? If there is one, what are the details? If there isn't, why isn't there one?
And so I'm going to jump in and recognize myself first. This committee has in the past tried to get a handle on that. On that being chapter 91, existing licenses, structures that should have a license and don't, and renewal dates. We were gonna do that file. Jeff Carlson, who's Director of Natural Resources, was very helpful, but he didn't really ask for our help. And that's been the frustration. We've offered help and it's not been accepted.
The thing is, surprise, it's a manpower issue.
Yeah.
And I mean, Jeff Carlson does not have the bandwidth to
It's
do
also
very much on
knowledge,
this
there's a lot of
stuff.
knowledge involved in this too.
So it's really something that there are bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Some are more accurate than others, but it really takes a group to wrestle this one to the ground. What do we need to do? Because you look around the harbor and you see all these new houses going up right on the shoreline.
I think there's 8 of them on Easton Street.
Yeah. So I think that this harbor plan update process is going to shine a bright light on how much work needs to be done.
Okay. I'm gonna look at Rick and say, the first thing that Phil asked was, would we look at both the responsible, I think there's only 1 or 2 where we are named as responsible, and 14 or 15 where we're named as participating. And perhaps with 1 or 2 people helping Rick to bring a listing back to us along with a recommendation on what do we do first? And that might then get us.
Well, I tried to be helpful on this committee, because my fellow committee members don't really know what we do. I tried to help them understand what made sense based on my sense of how this committee operates, so that we weren't just making things up out of whole cloth in the report.
Yeah, Ray, if I.
Yeah, Alan.
You know, we spent a lot of time on this, a number of years ago. We had, we had.
Let me bring Arthur Reed in.
Hmm?
Can we have Arthur Reed look at this once? Is that something else?
Arthur Reed came, I think, on one of the access points. There was, but more significantly, Leslie Forbes and I were the subcommittee that visited with Jeff. I have seen what existed then as the file. It's too big loose leaf.
It hasn't changed much.
Okay.
Yeah, and Jeff at the time seemed, when he spoke, we had, it was a seminar, didn't we have, or something?
Yes.
A
Oh,
bigger.
we had a workshop with people coming from Boston.
Yeah, exactly. And he, Jeff said at the time, oh, don't worry, we've got all these records here and blah, blah, blah. So, and that sort of figured out.
Okay, well, I am gonna come back to Phil's first request. That is, we react to being nominated with, yes, we're happy to, or that's outside of our mission, whichever is appropriate. Could I ask 1 or 2 people to help Rick?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you just go to those pages, there are about 15 pages out of the whole report that focus on our areas where we're mentioned. And I would recommend those who are interested, look at those pages. They're
So
39 to 50. whatever they are.
Gordy is the new guy, doesn't realize that when you ask for volunteers, you're supposed to step backwards. And so, Gordy, if you're familiar with the search function in word processing, you open this thing up and you just say, find roads in Leadwell. And it'll jump 1 at a time to each reference. And then that gives you an opportunity to see what's up. And Rick, if you would say, oh gee, we did that a long time ago.
So I'd be happy to work a little bit on this. I think one thought though is we've talked about a harbor walk for many years. Do you
That's in-
recall, is that in here?
That's in there.
Cause that's something that's really, I think that's something we could focus on. It's also related to chapter 91. And there's something we might be able to be helpful.
And
with.
that's part of that Washington Street plan.
I don't know that Rosen right away was included in that, but there is a thing on Harbor Walk, and there were a lot of people that were interested in that.
The land bank, by the way, is very much interested in the harbor walk. This is something we discussed it way back when Jeff Carlson was talking about public access. The land bank is very much interested in doing this. In fact, Remain Nantucket hired a surveyor or
A consulting firm.
very good, yeah, a consultant to lay out the path. The idea was that it would come from somewhere in town and extend out to probably land bank property down there. So you could,
The thought was to go ideally from the Coast Guard station to the creeks.
that was the
The
original.
puzzle, well, not the puzzle, but the real question mark, and the expert over here will tell.
Yeah.
That the steamship authority is in the middle of it,
Yes.
and they will not let us have a walkway through their property.
Yeah, exactly.
As is the yacht club.
The yacht, but that yacht club piece is, there's some wiggle room there.
The yacht club has a perpetual
Yeah.
license on that.
Right.
But,
Well-
and there's gonna be needs, I mean, this is like way off the rails here stuff. I mean, I'm not even the one getting off the rails, I can't believe it. So there's gonna be give and take over there though. The fire department wants hydrants going into the harbor for fighting fires in town. And there's plenty of places for them, steamship. The one that's at the corner of where, you don't even see it when you're down straight up, I didn't even know what the hell these things were until I was. Snooky knows what it is, but I didn't know what those silver pipe things are sticking out of the ground, they're not there for looks, they're a hydrant going into the hot water.
And they're improperly installed and will not work.
Well, okay, well, that's great,
boy.
so that.
Yeah, put that on the list.
But when I was told about that, I got asked about that. With, access to the steamship and that corner came up.
Yeah.
We're talking about through that gate, it goes behind the yacht club. That there's. I think that piece of property that you're talking about has potential future something could happen there. I just don't know what, you know what I mean? But I look at this, Alan, with this whole Washington Street committee that I'm on with you and,
I am.
I mean, I'm looking at that.
To be clear, Nat, it's the Washington Street.
Collaborative work group, I know, I'm just trying to go faster.
Well.
So,
this
and
is
like get more
recording, it's
complicated,
recording,
I know.
You're on that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that has opened up this older idea that it's your
Exactly.
plan from 100 years ago, Alan.
Yeah.
Your dream of getting a walk from X to X. I see this as sort of a big link to that.
Exactly.
It is, because this land slowly over time is gonna become land bank property on that side of the road. And it's gonna be able to be something else. It's a question of what and when. But anyway, can I ask you a question, Phil, on this?
Sure.
I've read this thing a long time ago. Okay, is there still something in there about a second steamship slip?
Yes.
Is that still in there?
Well, Dave
I mean,
Francisco.
can I like just take that page out, throw that out the window, and then the other?
Well, no.
That
this
is never gonna happen. We're lucky to have one.
This has been, we've had some lively.
And then there's another, but there is something in that document that we can do. When the steamship terminal, and I think about this document every time I bring it up. There's a thing in there about a ship sinking in the harbor and what to do about rescuing a boat and all this kind of stuff. And we've been talking about the steamship terminal rebuild project and having I call it a third slip, but it's a utility slip. It's not a slip like you see. It'll be something that would be coming inside the terminal. To have like a hydraulic ramp, and you'd be able to get you'd have land on both sides. Whether it be an emergency slip, if something ever happened to Highline and Straight Wharf, there was ever an emergency down there. People don't think about that. If there was ever, anything ever happened on Straight Wharf in the summer, forget about the off
So
season.
we,
We'd be closed.
to answer your
That's
question,
the
Matt,
airport.
to answer your question, the answer is yes, we talked about that.
Yeah,
Dave from.
as I remember this conversation.
Dave Franzuto's pet little idea is to do it off of Jetty.
I know, I already know that. I read that. I feel really awkward talking.
We don't need to get into that, but
Well, folks, I'm going to suggest this is important enough. We may have next month or even the month after as discussion items. But really, those who've not read the report, or at least skimmed through it, should be able to do that before we meet again. Because then Rick and Gordy will give us page numbers and actions. I know 5 words. The Roads and Right of Way Committee, that's 1 word. Will.
Lee, one thing I asked Rick and Gordy to do is we really want to have as clean a version as we can possibly have to present to the state. So if there's something really stupid in there that makes no sense for roads and right of way, let us know like before the end of the month. I mean, I'm not asking it to be rewritten, but just say, hey, this makes no sense. Rethink how you say this and rethink how you do that. That's all I'm saying. There might be something that jumps out at you.
With all my years of running committees and so forth, I tend to be casual. But I do also know the rules, and we are subject to the open meeting law. So what I'm going to say with Phil's request is it's probably within the realm of the open meeting law to send information to him. But don't send it to the entire committee until we assemble an agenda and work within the requirements of the open meeting.
Because then I can modify the language.
Yeah.
So that it's not all target.
I would call that, not an amendment, but a, textual amendment.
Exactly. That's all.
Okay,
That's all.
any other, issues for this one, Ed? Because we've got a couple of other exciting things to talk about. One of which is not the encroachment policy. Tracy, can you give us an update?
Very brief. We have something sort of prepared, but it's kind of, as just like your last discussion 2 minutes ago, evolved into larger scope that, has put it sort of on the rails a bit. So I think we're going to make it more cohesive. There will eventually be a presentation to the select board of some sort. I don't know if we'll come to you guys first, then before we make the presentation. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to include recommendations for policy changes. That being said, if you want to consider any changes, you through your committee, you could certainly do that and write recommendations that we can incorporate in our presentation when we get to the point of doing it. But it won't be our interns making it, but they've certainly done the foundational work. And then they've also addressed some other types of things that have been just touched on. And so I think, that's kind of where we're at. I think it's bigger than we thought it was going to be. We thought we were going to just do a little overview to address maybe stakes, rocks, that kind of hedges.
Yeah.
And, but I think it might become a larger scope thing. So anyways, it's on hold for now. So.
Yeah. Just a little bit of history. I think Tracy knows this, Gordy may not. So everything I'm talking about is on you, Gordy. It was some time ago that the town asked this committee to examine the existing encroachment policy. That is whatever existed at the time we were asked, because it needed to be amended.
Yeah.
So we sat down and wrote a fairly substantial reorganization, not re-editing, but basically a reorganization of the encroachment policy. We were led by a former member of the committee who is a very active surveyor and knew where the encroachment of friendship steps, why that might be different from the encroachment of overgrown privet hedges.
Yeah.
All of that was given to the town. The town's legal advisors, legal advisors, cut it back a little bit, actually cut it back quite a bit. But if we go to the town's regulations, you'll see that the encroachment policy was changed based on our recommendation. So Tracy, what I'm suggesting is that there might be a way that we can provide to you citizen input that you can take to the select board saying, we've got support for the following items. We've done that in the past, perhaps informally, but we worked with members of the planning board, we worked with director of public works, and we're able to come up with some fairly vital suggestions before you have to expose this, say, to a public hearing. Phil has his hand up, but I'm looking at Tracy. Any reactions?
I think that's a good idea. I mean, I think if you want to do that, it can't hurt. And, you know, we have, you know, discussed internally some minor changes, like, for instance, electronic notification of encroachments versus certified mail. But again, you know, some of these, some encroachment laws come down through state laws and notification. And so, you know, that kind of has to be vetted out legally and, you know, all that kind of thing. So as it stands right now in the policy, we have to send the letter certified. It's a somewhat archaic system.
Phil next, and Ed Gillum.
Does this encroachment involve people putting stakes and rocks? I have seen more, this is really, it's almost exploded this summer.
Big time, Phil, and I know that Tracy is looking at that as a prominent part of the revision.
I mean, this is something that I have never seen so many stakes put in the ground or rocks.
Lawrence Landing Road was.
I mean, it's, and I have had several friends approaching me, both having done it and having been against it. And it really is something that cries for some sort of resolution.
Yes, yes, and we'll be looking for that. Ed?
Through the chair, Ed Gillum, Tracy, this will also include some of the licensing kind of suggestions or ideas that you had as well, correct?
Yeah. Well, that was in there from Joe.
Good.
Yes.
Good. But I mean, a variation of those laws.
Yes, you're on to the right solution.
Yeah.
With that, Ed.
Yeah.
Tracy, how you doing? Thank you for everything you do every day, by the way. People don't know who
Thank
you
you,
are.
Nat. Same to you.
So, Tracy, here's how I sort of look at all this. Every one is different. I think of Washington Ave in Mattocket. Every time I think of encroachment, I'm like, okay, look at that road out there, 50 feet wide, with no plan from 100 years ago. And there's all this like wasted land. What are we doing with this land out there? Okay. And then you look at all the ones in town and all those little, like, you've got the hedge when you pull out of Cumberland Farms, you know, Williams, like, that is an easy one. Just tell them to cut it, make a deal with that owner to keep it at this height, that X height, whatever that is. And that's it. And it's in writing, signed by people with the say. Every one of these is different. I'm not gonna get into the John Miller property, which isn't his anymore. That one's the best. Just change the street to one way and it solves it. But, because that's just ridiculous. I don't know what to say about that one. But yeah, they're all separate. they're all different. When when Joe wrote that, we were talking about the friendship step thing, which I never even heard of that term, by the way, till then.
It's because
So,
they
you know,
go. both
Been
ways.
here all my life, I never heard that term. And that is a big deal. Like, you can't just tell somebody that their steps are in the right of way. So what they are? They've been there before Christ, right? There's nothing you can do about it. But there was something that, and this is what I want to get to Tracy on. I remember Joe saying this, and I don't know if it ever got adopted, but when a house sells, they were supposed to get the as-built redone, because they have to do it anyway, with that encroachment in there, in the deed.
Identified.
Is that true, Tracy, or is that falling away as too complicated? Because that's a good idea, if Joe had.
I don't know that it was followed through. I, as you know, have done many titles and I have yet to see it in any deed that I've done. It's always been a separate license. And then I think that at some point that changed somewhere. Can you hear me? Because my internet's been really bad. So I don't know. I think this is where you get into like just what we're doing. We're sort of keep talking about it and there's more to it. And, you know, I think if we're going to make changes, it has to come as a cohesive sort of plan of how we're going to move forward with it. I think the most difficulty we're having right now is with staff. And when you get all these stakes and rocks, we have to identify whether they're actually in the public layout or if they're inside the scope of their boundary line. And, you know, we could send the letter, but we'd be sending thousands of letters. And then what, put the burden back on them to say it's in or out. And really, so identifying, you know, that makes it very cumbersome when we're talking about the volume that we're dealing with. And the fact that when it's dark, they're hard to see, there's no reflectors, you know, the list goes on.
Somebody hits that. That's all about the bicycle.
Tracy, I will remind you that we are offering to be a sounding board of interested and knowledgeable citizens to help you appreciate what might happen when you go to the select board or a public hearing or any such. I see Snooki.
Yes,
Certainly.
Nelson, we've got two in Sconset that are very out into the town land. One has placed flagpole, stones, hydrangeas, and a flagpole between the telephone and the electric poles and the asphalt on Baxter Road. And down on Ocean Avenue at 51 Ocean Ave, they have just put in a bunch of 4x4s sticking up about 18 inches all along the edge of the asphalt.
So I'm going to tell you, I'm nearly positive they requested a license and I said no. And so, so they put him in anyways. So, so that is on my list. You know, that's on my list, but like, that's easy to identify and deal with, right? That's sort of a straightforward thing. I think they're actually both on my list, to be honest. I think we're just talking about like whole neighborhoods putting in stakes, you know, like that kind of a thing. If you guys wanted to get to a point where, you know, you do want to, you know, sort of talk about it or maybe coordinate with traffic safety on it, it would be helpful just to have the recommendation. And then, you know, when we get to the point of going to the select board, then we'll have that as well.
Thank you. So if I may, Tracy, this is obviously something we're going to come back to, but I'm hoping that the conversation would be a little more structured. And that would happen if you gave us some insight or direction as to what we should be talking about. Ed Gillum.
I perhaps we should think about this in a slower time than August. Like the sidewalk committee, maybe it's gonna take a few people to walk some of these areas with some knowledge of the bound and some of the plot plans and identify it that way, because that. I mean.
Yeah.
I walk my dog and I can identify 20 or 30 places right away in my dog walk, so you know.
Yes, you can hit off if you're walking your dog. But I'm coming down the road with a fire engine. How are you gonna pull over if there's posts in the edge of the road?
Well, no, I'm just saying I can identify the places that they're bad, so to be, and they shouldn't.
Okay,
we could talk about this for hours, but let me just, can I just say?
Yes,
one
you
thing,
will.
Lee?
but
Okay.
I'm hoping that Tracy will react positively to my suggestion that she give us some direction.
Oh. I think we have to have a structured conversation on past issues, which I brought up, the
Yeah.
stuff that like has been around forever before we ever even talked about it. This issue with with what Snooki's talking about, whether it's the metal posts, doesn't matter what the posts are, they're all at the edge of pavement.
Yeah.
They don't own that land. The 75 takings have been fixed. So there is no,
Just a minute, Mike,
right, Tracy, the
We were gonna
75 have
talk
been
about-
fixed.
reorganization next.
I'll watch the video if that's all right.
Okay.
No, you don't wanna take
No,
the
no.
steamship at 6:15?
Mike,
What time is it?
next September, for sure.
See, now and that. I'm just saying, you can stay a little longer. We're not in Woods Hole anymore. So anyway, so. With this, okay, what people are doing, they think they own the land. All right, number one, they don't own it. And what kills me is that these are new jobs where there's a surveyor. They have plans, they know where the bounds are. But there is a way to dress up your front yard that you don't own, that's okay, but put your sprinklers near on the inside, so the water's coming out, instead of putting the sprinkler heads out at the edge of the road, which people are doing. And now, you don't want a car wheel to go over there, that's what's causing part of this, I'm just telling you.
Yeah,
Just look what's going on Fairgrounds Road. Those three houses are telling you all this stuff in one location, very easy. There's a lot of blame to go around for this. This isn't like just the homeowner's fault. These things just happen, and then it becomes the past, and then there's another one, and then there's another one. But the metal stake stuff and the wooden ones in Wisconsin, I've seen the little 4x4, that is dangerous. That is really, really dangerous for bicycles. In the dark, those roads don't have lights.
kids running.
You ever hit one of those metal posts down, and if they're driven down deep enough where they're not gonna bend over, you can be killed. Okay, I'm just saying, you could be killed with hitting one of them on a bike at night,
So,
especially these e-bikes. So,
folks,
anyway.
all of this is valuable and it is being recorded.
yeah,
It's very unstructured
I know.
and we need to organize this a little bit more. Phil?
The couple of friends of mine who have put metal stakes in have done it because there are so many contractors working in their neighborhood.
The parking.
There's the only, I mean, and there's no parking, and so the contractors park on their grass,
Yeah.
because it's the only place they can put their trucks. And so I guess the question is does that get into enforcement from the police, or that you send the community service kids around and get?
I'm not a lawyer, but my understanding is that trespassing is a civil wrong and that's the sheriff, not the police.
We should put this on a more structured, Ed Gillum, the
Yeah.
chair, and a more structured thing, we could talk about this all day. A lot of the contractors there might have been working on that house that they're sitting in front of last winter and did it all winter long, and now the people
Somebody
know
else's
they don't want to, now
Yeah.
it's someone else's house.
Highland Ave's the best one to
But
live
also-
right now.
There's also another solution that we could come up with, and we'll discuss this. If you stripe the road and have a yellow stripe there, now it has a penalty involved. So if people really don't want it, put a yellow stripe there and no one can park there.
You are without knowing it, moving us to item number 6,
Yes, okay.
future of the committee.
Mission,
Oh,
mission.
yeah.
This is important, and
It is.
we're gonna be revisiting it. And I'm hoping that we'll get some guidance so that we can say, yes, this belongs in the policy or regulations. No, it's gonna be unenforceable, that sort of thing. And then we are knowledgeable and informed citizens. And as such are expanding Tracy's
I know. We all want
input
that.
or level of input from the town. Okay with you, Tracy?
She needs more work.
All
It's way longer.
right. We're moving on now to item number 6. History.
Yeah.
Traffic safety is now a staff work group. It is not a volunteer committee. It's comprised of department heads who all have a stake in traffic safety. And they are very dedicated to such things as yellow lines,
One of them just,
handicap parking places, and so forth. Bicycle and pedestrian advisory evaporated.
no, the
Yeah.
fact's not evaporated.
No, bicycle and pedestrian came to
Oh,
a close, on June 30th of this year.
BPAC is closed?
Yeah.
What?
Mike Burns
I think it is.
has suggested to the town that he chair a citizens advisory committee for transportation planning. He and I had an hour together, and he's amenable to our expanding our statement of mission and vision to include transportation planning explicitly. I met with our town manager, who started off by saying, you shouldn't be talking about regulation. I said, we're not talking about regulation, we're talking about advice on transportation planning, public access, which is our traditional, and she came to the point where she said, yeah, I could buy into some of that. So we could be looking at a substantial reordering of our committee, potentially even name change. And I think to do that, it would be appropriate to have a broad discussion, a brainstorming thing about what is the future of roads and right of way, to which Mike would come, Libby Gibson would come.
Agreed.
And possibly somebody from the planning board. But I'm looking for your reactions before we do anything more.
Ed Gillum, I'd say that's a good idea.
Okay. We have done so much and we have contributed so much that I want to be careful not to be revisiting the same thing over and over again, which was what we were asked to do in the very first presentation to this committee. Phil?
I think a fresh look at the existing committees that we have in the town. This group could come up with where are the holes, where are the pieces that are not addressed.
Or some linkage.
That this revised committee could go after, because I think what I have seen in the few years I've been on this committee is we have gotten into all kinds of discussions that touch on other groups. And we're not filling a need because there's another group involved too. But I think there are needs that we could possibly fill and not step on other toes.
And I'm suggesting from what I've learned that yes, we could fulfill those needs. I'm not sure what that's coming from.
All right.
It doesn't matter. It's all public, but somebody is speaking. Okay, Phil if what I understand, traffic safety is now a staff group. Bicycle and pedestrian doesn't exist anymore. That was my understanding as of
Finding out,
last
because
week.
that was not formed by the town of NPDC committee. Joe Chappell was the chair, so he was probably.
Yeah, Mike is looking for a citizen support committee. He's an employee of the Nantucket Planning and Economic Development Commission, so he reports
Well,
to NPEDC.
he's the town.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not get into that. He's the town.
And my own feeling is that we have operated as a town committee, and so we should continue.
And I kind of, Ed Gillum, to further what Phil said, filling the holes is great, and also providing maybe some linkage, because a lot of things we do overlaps with stuff, and if we could link them together, we get something done.
And can I just say something to add to it? Everything he says, I agree with. You know, that is weird. And never knew who he was until this committee. Where's Drew? Drew doesn't come to our meetings. We need him to come to these meetings sometimes,
Okay.
at least when stuff like this is being brought up, because he's involved in all of it.
By
And he's not here.
Drew Natlowell is referring to the Director of Public,
And he understands this stuff pretty well, okay, with his past here working for the, whatchamacallit, the other people. And he knows a lot about what's going on here again at a young age. So this is,
Alan will echo that we used to have good attendance from his predecessors.
I know, because that was a different time,
Right.
okay? And I'm getting to that now, Lee. So Rick remembers the street and sidewalk committee. We had two different versions of that. And that committee was formed by the select board twice for reasons. The first reason was because of the sewer project, phase 1 and 2, whatever they were calling them back then. And then it got formed again when what's her name, the BBW director lady that left. Kara was the second version. So to sort of like repackage all this stuff, traffic safety is really not about safety all the time. It's about a parking space. It's about a curb cut. Like the primary curb cut, they go look at.
Yeah.
And it's like, the biggest thing I got is the way curbing gets put in these narrow streets in town. We've lost so many opportunities to get homeowners to fix Prospect Street. Now it's kind of destroyed and it needs to get fixed in a bigger way now, because it's too narrow by Stojack's house, okay? So I kind of see our committee, this committee, being more some of this right-of-way stuff, still, the encroachment stuff definitely is in our purview.
Chapter 91.
With that stuff,
Exactly.
but that stuff doesn't come up all the time. That's like a sort of, an issue way over here that all of a sudden comes up. I'm talking about nobody's talking about sidewalk stuff and curbing, nobody. That is not part of any group except just the town itself.
Well,
And
we did a lot.
I know.
We
but
talked about sidewalks
But we,
in front of the Jared Coffin House and we got slapped down.
that's why it needs to get restarted, because there's pieces of all this stuff that don't get looked at anymore. Then an engineer comes along from off island and big project like we just had,
Yeah.
and things get thrown back together by people that don't live here and don't know how you turn right on Silver Street. I'm gonna bring that up for the rest of my life, that Silver Street curve, and that they just had to put asphalt in front. Okay, so I couldn't believe when I saw that, but anyway, so I think BPAC is kind of doing a great job in doing what they're doing, separate with this e-bike stuff. There's a lot of things that we would never doing. They're doing on their own, and they're doing a good job.
Did do.
Okay, we'll see what's going on with that. I don't know what's going on with that. So,
I just want
but
to
as far as traffic safety going into just town people and having no public, no private citizens, I think that needs to get fixed. I mean, Art did so much free work with this surveying stuff and getting so much in the packet he was doing all the work for that committee to
Yeah.
really look, when they had complaints, Alan, because I was getting that stuff, I was kind of a fake member, I wasn't really a member, but I was kind of in a little input, and it was unbelievable what he was doing. And now you need people like him to look at things like this. Because I'm not being negative about anything, I'm just saying you need to have a little bit of
Well,
both.
what I'm suggesting that is that we can, without losing the important stuff that we do,
Yeah,
we can reconstruct ourselves to be the traffic planning advisory, and that's sidewalks, it's curbs, it's long-range transportation plan, it's the annual update to the transportation improvement plan, the TIP. By the way, that used to come to us.
what as part of a packet? To just,
Mike would bring it to us as an agenda.
but he used to come to, he still comes to some of these meetings, but like I'm saying, he was a mainstay. DPW wasn't at every meeting, but they were at.
And we have good representation from the planning commission. Andrew would come.
Yeah, Andrew did come, that's right. No, I forget about that. You're right about that.
We got
So, remember when, I don't need to say, hold on one second, Phil. Remember Alan, Lee and me and you walked down Prospect from the hospital that day?
We
Remember
did.
that?
We did.
Look at it now, what's happened. And I'm just saying, it's, I don't blame anybody, okay? To go back to the old days when they had the clerk of the streets, the superintendent of streets or clerk of the streets, that was
Oh, come on, we even had.
his name was Vestal Lane, right? We need to kind of go back to something like that. Because if somebody was watching what those guys were doing, putting them streets back together, you wouldn't have the curbing issues.
I just want
I'm
to,
just saying, now it's all cemented,
I just want to react to,
not in dirt.
Well, I don't think we'll have pushback if we approach things amicably.
I agree.
Well, I heard about the pushback.
Let me just say one thing, we won't get into it anymore, but I think this meeting uncovered one area that would be ideal for this committee to take responsibility for, is chapter 91.
Yes,
Because essentially, the reason why
That's
chapter
public access.
91 has been floating around and has not really gone anywhere is because there's been no ownership for it.
okay.
And this, I would submit that that's one thing that this committee could take ownership for.
Now, what I'm proposing as we approach the 5:30 hour is to draft a straw paper of, a white paper for people to look at and say, no, we don't want to do that. Yes, we should do that and we should do more. Just to have something to talk about in September.
Yep.
At which
Yeah.
point we should have Mike Burns here and, Libby and possibly, Drew, or that's Drew Patno, or, a representative from planning. Because whatever we suggest for amendment of our mission is gonna have to go past the select board. If you're happy with that, I'm happy to do it. Because I want to see the committee serve Nantucket. And we're all aware of some of the challenges, the only one of which for which we don't have an answer is called Gardner Street, but that's not.
I have the answer, Gardner, but it's not too late, but it's definitely
No,
Robert Orr,
not one way.
just,
And Matty Jacob is what I was thinking.
just come in with your equipment and just.
No,
Okay. Other comments?
Well, over the years, one of the things that this committee has done, we have initiated these projects, so,
And they were happily taken over, like the the sidewalk, stuff.
exactly.
We walked miles of sidewalk
We did,
until the town realized that the easiest way to contract that is one section of the town at a time at $1 million.
but no hoopy bike racks, we're not improving anything, just fixing the bricks and the curb, but we're not adding stuff to get bike racks in, they're not racks, those little round things are the best thing in the world. So That's just one issue.
I'm afraid I'm gonna have to excuse myself. I'm chairing a meeting at 5:30 and I have to drive and get there. So I,
5:30, you better, yeah.
so I. You're right.
You're gonna be late.
Yeah, better get moving.
Unless you're right next door.
I know that, so I apologize, but
Ed.
I have to do that. And I have to leave business, but I'll bring it up next time.
Just a clue. What is it you want to talk about?
No, I was gonna bring up this, the proposal for the, state of the barrier beaches.
Okay.
I thought was quite an interesting thing for access.
Send me a note, we'll make a formal agenda item on
Okay,
Have we done elected officers? Otherwise, Ed would be a good candidate.
I know, that's why I was worried to leave.
it. Yes, Phil, we have elected some of the officers. I've been elected chair, Alan is vice chair, and we still have an opening for secretary. And I'm waiting for Tracy to show us how it can be done easily with AI so that I can persuade somebody to become secretary, because it is a lot of work.
I can't be a secretary.
No, that's an open issue, secretary.
Yeah, just.
And also to get the town to bring our committee membership listing up to date.
So can I just close out this item 6 real quick, restructuring thing or whatever we're talking about?
Yeah.
I think, I've had numerous little side conversations about this with other people, and I think this will get buy-in and support in some fashion that we just talked about.
Yeah, I hope so.
Because
Mike.
it isn't 1960 now. We need to kind of change the way we do things a little bit. There's a lot of stuff, and I'm just gonna say this, as much as it pains me. Today's way of doing stuff makes things not get done. Makes things not Nantucket when the job is finished. I'm just telling you. When we did phase 1 out to the rotary, not the roundabout, the rotary. I got a phone call the night before. From Jeff. And I met him down at Pontoon Spring.
Colson?
No, Jeff. Willett. Okay, this is a long time ago, dude.
Oh, okay. No,
Okay.
And
he met me. And he asked me to come down to Pontoon Spring to meet with him to see what we could do to improve the truck turn. That Beth Brooks's corner there, that's what I call it, because that's what her house is. I said, this curbing's gotta get pushed back about 3 feet. It's just out in the middle of the road for nothing.
Yeah.
And I said, we need to pave a little bit more over to Consu and make this, and then move the yellow line over. So vehicles stay to the right, because they like following the line. And then they took, and nobody remembers this, they took that rotary and made it smaller. That rotary is not the same size it was 20 years ago. Those two things were done without the big deal of hiring consultants and every other thing to get stuff done, to not really get done.
You're calling that.
And that's what's happened. You have somebody sitting in a truck that's running the engineering and not knowing that curbing can't go there like that. And it gets put back like it's Arizona, not Nantucket, and then you end up with a problem, and it's concreted in, not in dirt. I'm just saying, Lee, this is what we.
What I'm hopeful is that our input to the transportation planning will be essential.
There has to be a way, if we restructure all this and don't fix the stuff I'm talking about, we're not fixing nothing.
Yeah.
We have to find a way to be modern and fancy and old school sort of at the same time. Because otherwise you won't get that solution to this weird problem on this street with this curb is too high or needs to be flushed over here or whatever we're doing that needed to get done long before the road was dug up.
Yeah.
And that's really all that's wrong. I mean, it's not complicated. It's just there needs to be a local person dealing with this off-island guy sitting in the truck that's running the job.
Okay.
That's what happens. I've already been told all this stuff. This is not complicated.
So
That's what happens.
we did not pick a secretary. It'll
Yeah.
show up again. And that will be perhaps connected to review of minutes so that we see how the new system works. I've done it for a very long time and it can be done.
So we're gonna have an AI secretary? Are you really?
No, the
I think
secretary
I
will
don't
be.
think anyone's gonna complain.
AI documents. When I was Nantucket Town Association, and the great and esteemed Eileen McGrath was my
Oh, yeah.
predecessor as secretary.
Wow.
And she asked if I would take it over. She was gonna step back. And what she said to me is, "Oh, Lee, you just scribble a few little notes. It's nothing difficult."
Yeah, right.
That's just-
By the way, the minutes that Lee took over the years for this very committee are
Perfect.
amazing.
Very well done.
They're very detailed. There's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff in there about the, even things we've been talking about today.
So I'm hopeful that the computer, as modified by human, will continue that.
Yeah, no, I
Okay,
think they would pick it all up.
folks, it's 5:30. And
Tracy's still here.
and
We need to let her go home,
I'm
whatever.
I'm a Robert's Rule of Order guy who says when you get to the end of the written agenda, you're done. But there is a tradition here in Nantucket, so I'm gonna ask for a move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
AR, Alan Reinhardt, and that'd be Snooki and Nelson. There we go. All those in favor?
Aye.
We're done. 5:31. And thank you. I think we're making